Hmm. Very interesting. Now that is an intro. Hey everybody, Ham here. Am I wearing headphones because I'm having audio trouble? Or am I wearing them because I want to see how they look on film? You decide. I try to be open-minded when it comes to film reboots. It's not easy to pick something up that already exists and find a way to differentiate it in an enjoyable way. You have to build something completely new, or don't. You can only really go one of those two ways. The first Mortal Kombat did just that. It was essentially the game, as much as they possibly could have made it. They really tried not to stretch the imagination beyond the game as much as possible. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that one soon. Mortal Kombat Legacy or Rebirth rethought everything completely. It really went much deeper for characters and backstory and tried to develop brand new ideas for each one. When you're a collection of shows, you can absolutely do that. So in the best case scenario, when you're talking about medias, you either get one or the other. Did we? Mortal Kombat. Following the annihilation of the first film series, Mortal Kombat was untouchable. You can assume how that review will go. After Rebirth and Legacy, we were left to wonder what rebooted Mortal Kombat would be. Would they go for realism or mimic the video game? That's a pretty good looking cast. How did the movie turn out? Once again, we learned Scorpius is the world's greatest dad and husband. The Lin Kuei Massacre. Amazing in any rendition. Sub-Zero is incredible. Unfortunately, Scorpion takes 10 minutes to pick up a bucket of water. Wait, he's at the house? Why didn't she tell Sub-Zero? They may have been left alone, at least had a chance to survive. She didn't give herself or her children any shot. She didn't even scream. This is terrible. They need to train the ninjas to attack, not just run at the target so he can kill them sequentially. So, amazing, amazing, amazing fight. But they gotta keep in mind, if you do this, if you start the film at 10, you have to be able to match it. Did they? Mortal Kombat. Look, Johnny Cage. Oh, nope. That's just some random guy. Because this series doesn't have enough characters. Taking prize fights for cred and for the love of fighting, wanting to prove himself, you have to make up a new character to fit that? Jack shows up. See? Really is Mortal Kombat. It's snowing. Sub-Zero is here to make sure that the random guy doesn't get to the tournament. Jax grabs him. So now here's where we're going to start explaining a little bit more of the lore and things that are going to be introduced from this movie. Now, you can get on board right now with this symbol stuff, or you can get out of the way. It's completely up to you. For me, I'm going to ride it out. I want to see what happens with this. I'm not exactly mad at it. The thing is, it's kind of messy the way that they've done it before, calling people just chosen ones, especially in a series where you find out 20 minutes later there's 15 more chosen ones that you could have talked to. It's just kind of funny knowing that they went on to do... I mean, the timeline isn't that long, is it? I mean, really, I would like somebody to explain it to me. What's the amount of time it takes from, like, Mortal Kombat to the last Mortal Kombat sequentially, I guess Armageddon? Like, what's that time period? What's the time period from start to finish? I'm really curious, because the thing I want to understand is when you play with the chosen ones for tournaments and the chosen ones for realms and the chosen ones for defenders, when you start playing with that and then immediately introducing new chosen ones over and over and over again, at a certain point, you've lost your definition for chosen one, right? 6 tours. In China? I don't think Sub-Zero cares. Another excellent scene. Not the A start the movie had, but it's good enough to carry some momentum. Lore stuff is always welcome. Just to get it out of the way, Melina freaking rules. Shang Tsung wants efforts to kill the new guy. Visiting Goro is very, very cool. Sonya beats up a wiener dude who doesn't want to win fights, because that's what Mortal Kombat is all about. The marking explanation and images on the wall. Alright, I'm on board. It's all pretty neat. Well, probably the best part of the movie is found. It's Kano. We get a reptile attack. I still prefer Ninja Reptile, but hey, we get a Reptile. He is plan B to Sub-Zero, I guess, just 100% less successful. Kano tears the heart out? Yes. Now we are on a journey. Let's find a temple. Sonya easily takes down Kano. Why? This is so silly. Liu Kang looks great. Kano is basically the regular guy in this whole thing. Now we're off to training. So we are starting to drag out a little bit here. This feels like forever since we had that Jackson Sub-Zero head-to-head kind of Mortal Kombat-y fight. The reptile fight was literally just, there's a monster that we can't see. It didn't feel like it necessarily carried the movie in the way that you would want. When you're feeling like, when you're watching an actual combat movie, you expect to have more elements of Mortal Kombat, not 3 people fighting an invisible person, if that makes sense. Even if that invisible person is a giant lizard. Raiden said what we all feel. This group sucks, and who is that guy? Sub-Zero arrives in Kung Lao and Liu Kang, and boom, they stop the possibly awesome fight to slow things back down again. Is Raiden a god or just a dude? Shang Tsung, the shift manager, can attack him and just take over his realm? Now we find out that the powers come from training. So more non-combat Mortal Kombat. I hate to say it this way, but Sonya's really getting on my nerves at this point. The no marking thing is really killing the marking thing. Like, I really got on board with it for a while now with you, and I'm ready to get off the train. No marking is just a complicated element that has been thrown in this movie. It's like just a way to explain how she gets into the tournament. The dude who can barely throw a punch is giving Kung Lao a run for his money. Kano suddenly can't stop tripping. More punchlines. Who cares? Do something, please.
You like wrestling podcasts? Oh boy, I'm a big-time wrestler, and I love Wrestling with Fans podcast. Wrestling with Fans podcast is a great place for friendly wrestling conversation, news, and reviews. Kyle does unboxing videos and occasionally brings on guests. Wrestling with Fans podcast is found on all your major platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and much, much more. So if you're in the mood for some wrestling conversation, check out Wrestling with Fans podcast right now. WrestlingWithFans.com. Oh yeah, that's some good wrestling. Yeah, that's WrestlingWithFans.com.
Liu Kang is a weird backstory. Unnecessary detail, and it just doesn't seem to fit. What is the point to this? Jack's arms remind me of Deadpool's growing back baby legs. Jax lacks confidence? Again? He talked all that crap to Sub-Zero. Jax is the most inconsistent character emotionally ever. Kano loses control and shoots a beam from his eye? Why not the blades? The metal fix on the reptile cuts makes much more sense. There's a guy literally getting metal arms added to his body. Why wouldn't we cover his reptile scars with metal to repair his face? Sometimes stuff that makes sense makes sense. I mean, seriously, just look at that. Johnny Cage that guy who can't fight also feels super out of place because he still doesn't belong. This still feels forced and super lacking. 30th minute since the trip to the temple. The only thing that has happened is Kano has a laser in his eye. Luckily, it gives him the opportunity to double cross everybody. So let's talk. You cannot convince me that Johnny Cage wasn't already scheduled to be in this movie. This whole role feels exactly like it was written for Johnny Cage, trying to bounce back from a failed film career and feeling like a fake. This guy was very obviously thrown into this role to save him for a sequel. It feels like Johnny Cage was cast, set, in either marketing or casting, or somebody decided that he was too much for this movie. Then all of the good lines got pushed over to Kano. Then they said his superpower can be just being a bad fighter. Not because of a public persona. He just gets beat up till he can't get beat up no more. And then becomes a superhero. It feels like somebody that they never had an idea of what they were going to do with. And then unfortunately they forgot to write him lines back into the script. Raiko looks worse than Goro from the first one. Goro looks worse than Goro from the first one. The good guys are all terrible for plot. Raiko hits Jax, Cabal vs. Lou would have been awesome. Ton of potential here. Melina just beats up Sonya. Natara is a throwaway, dead in a minute, or just so that she could cover Kung Lao in blood, which was admittedly cool. The random guy who hasn't been able to fight this whole time, with the superpower of being beaten up, also gets arm blades, jumps 25 karate belt colors to 11 past Goro's current belt level. Immediate death. Jax finds his confidence and grows more metal. Seriously, I said that weird because I was typing in it, but he just grows metal on his arms. Shang Tsung is the most unbelievable sorcerer ever. Nobody will ever be able to stop him. Kung Lao is now nothing. Blazing to the finish now. We broke up the fights unnecessarily just to waste a little bit more time. Now, because Goro and Kung Lao are dead, the good guys are just whooping everyone. Kano is dead. What a waste. Sonya gets her mark. Who cares? Cabal vs. Lou is still amazing. Melina vs. Captain Kick My Butt actually was pretty good. Straight into the closing rehash of Scorpion Sub-Zero. Boy, does this feel rushed. It definitely could have been a highlight of Part 2. Ultimately, not satisfying. I couldn't care less who Johnny Cage. I couldn't care less who... What was it? Cole. I didn't put it back in the script. It's Cole, isn't it? Cole. I couldn't care less who Cole is the son of. Or whatever. This is the who cares character in the middle of some pretty good stuff. It really hurts the story. And now a reference drop for some random B actor. The end. Well, it's weird. Feels like it wanted to be particularly clever for some reason. It just missed on what it could have been. It missed on a few decisions that could have made this really special. Yeah, Sub-Zero and Scorpion are cool, but they're always cool. So the good. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, obviously. Some of the other fighting was pretty cool. Kung Lao Liu Kang really stood out as something that was pretty good. Kano, Jax, Sonya, Kung Lao, Shang Tsung, Cabal, Melina, all done very well. The and costumes and effects were 50-50 at best. Jax's arms are weird. What is Liu Kang now? I don't understand his story. The backstory changes are weird at times and needless to me. Maybe they make sense on like a greater scale. Maybe with Part 2 it explains and connects some of these things to make them more important. Or maybe if I watch it a few more times, it'll really hit me as something that was really cool that they had included. It's just unnecessary. I mean, not bad, but I mean, it's okay. The bad. Raiko and Goro look awful. Tossing a random new character into a reboot is risky at best. It did not work here. Having a get beat up power is very lame. Especially when he's going up against people that could literally murder him with weapons. And the law. The hour that you get to know that eventually all of the characters will soon be fighting at the same time and rushed completely to a close for the movie. The movie really built you up for this disappointing pace that was coming. And it was, well, rushed. Kung Lao and Kano deaths are unfortunate. Power imbalances are also kind of an issue here. How powerful is Raiden? It definitely feels like Shang Tsung is actually the god, and Raiden is just some sort of a sorcerer trying to protect his temple. Well, video game movie scale here. It definitely needed more balance. It needed more balance in its characters specifically, and more spread out fighting throughout the film. This is a film going into the temple scene that had a B potential that did not look like it could have gotten drugged down. The movie got drugged down. I give it a C. Well, is it better than the first Mortal Kombat? Doom, Resident Evil, you will see. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you had fun listening. Thank you for staying to the end. Still doing reviews multiple times a week. Trying to get in a ham makes food, once a week. If possible, I need to get back into some gaming soon. Maybe crank up some rewrites if I can get some motivation. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy the movie, and have a great day.